Hey folks, Keric here and welcome back to part 21 of this Primal walkthrough on PS2. Big cutscene coming up, I'll leave you to it.
Not too tight, I hope. With what I am to face, this is insignificant.
I told you you're not going anywhere. You're just luring them in for our attack. Don't worry about it. Trust us.
Huh. You had better withdraw. On sandpaper.
Mutvap, Theos Evila. Atis vegbid, ut av hipkas av jot nerazim imon night. Sanje agdia Theos shuvlast. Sumit Gaza ani not Gibraun.
Hold it, Xena. Man, don't you people have dentists. Now that's a sword I'd kill for.
The fight with Valeria is actually pretty easy compared to the Wraith that you'll fight after this. She has a kind of normal amount of health, which means she's relatively easy while in Fairy form. Whenever she does the main attacks, kind of block them. Other than that, just wheel on her. 7 shades of shit, and away you go, kind of thing. Really, it shouldn't take much more than a few hits to knock her down low enough to be able to kill her. Just make sure you block whenever she does that stun move. Come here, you. And down she goes.
Should have just given me this, honey. Would have saved you a lot of trouble. Oh, great. And I promised the miserable creep I wouldn't let them hurt him.
You fought well, Jen. I should have been more alert. Anyway, it's happened. So I suggest we get on with the burial, now we have the sword. You need the Wraith aspect, and we may even defeat Raum before our friend is sacrificed.
Try and save him, huh? Guess that's the least a corruption like me can do.
And the game skips us to the graveyard where we have yet another cutscene.
This should be cool.
Just keep an eye on the name on the gravestone that she strikes.
Oh, yes.
Jennifer, a little respect, please.
Hey, Rocky. Tie me from a standing start.
Come on! We haven't got time for this. Only use the Wraith form in emergencies. It really doesn't bring out the best in me.
So yeah, now we have the Wraith form. And we've also just seen the comedy stylings of Jen and Scree part 2 and 3. In that she calls Valeria Xena. Hudson like being Callista in the Xena Warrior Princess series of TV shows. And secondly, she's just knocked down or smashed up or whatever a gravestone with Lara Croft on it. Obviously a little bit of a poke at Lara Croft. So yeah, there are quite a few in-jokes and stuff hidden in the Ether realm. I don't think there are quite so many in the others. But anyway, Wraith form. In terms of speed, it's pretty much average. But one thing you can do, and I'm going to demonstrate it here. Now as you pull the lever, you'll need to hold down the circle so that you can move into, well, fast forward mode basically. Otherwise the gate drops down as soon as you let go of the lever and you can't get through. One of the nice things about Wraith form is you can actually use that circle button during combat, which gives you a really nice kind of fast forward type dodge, which works pretty well. And this is one of the few sections yet again where we're going to have to use the Undying form. There are quite a few underwater cellars, dungeons, whatever at this point. So just make your way through, swim through the gap, and there should be a lodestone in this next room over towards the left hand side. There you go, you'll want to pick that up as Scree. But that's us for this room so far, so we can go out and switch back into another form. One thing it's worth remembering is that whenever you change in between Undying quite a few times like we are now, it's a little bit quicker if you want to switch into human form. It seems to take about half as much time, which is kind of handy whenever you're faffing about this much. I don't think it's massively important, but if it starts to get annoying, you can always do that. No, we can't climb over that wall, fair enough. I was hoping we could just leap over it. But no, we got to take a slow way down. Still, it's a lodestone. I think we probably have enough lodestones now to cover the entire game without ever picking another one up, but hey, if it's there, we may as well. And take control of Jen again. Make our way over towards the left. I'm just going to save the game quickly. That's the point at where the game fucked up. I switched to Undying, went for a little bit of a swim, managed somehow to swim through a wall and was kind of swimming in that, you know, the area that's behind the textures? The whole kind of black emptiness that exists behind all games. Yeah. After a couple of minutes there, I had to go back to the Valera fight. Unfortunately, it was the last save point I had, so I'm not going to mess around. Alright, we're pretty low on energy, so I'm going to have Scree pick up those 2 energy stones. Really, they're there for the take-in, so we may as well. And once we're done, we'll go back to Jen. I actually find this area slightly confusing. Up ahead there's a gate with an energy stone behind it, which is fine, we can't get through. And just in front of me you'll see there's a hole in the cage. And what I didn't notice is there's actually a way through to the other cell. As you can see on the map, just kind of south of where the red triangle is, you can make your way through to what appears as a circle on the floor. Unfortunately, it left me kind of scratching my head at the time. I really just could not work out where the hell to go next. And then eventually I spy the hole. There we go. And once you're through, you're in pretty much a large flooded area. You'll not be in here with Scree or anything else, so there's not a lot to do. Essentially, you're trying to make your way over to the other side, where there will be a cell with some light streaming through it. There's no real direct route, so I'm going to swim about for a couple of minutes, I think. Pretty much just make my way to the top. There are some patches, as you can see, on the floor of blood or rust or something else. I'm not quite sure if they're supposed to be a trail. They do lead in pretty much the right direction, so I'm thinking that they might be. And we come to a dead end. So definitely no way through on the bottom. And time to make our way back up again. And there we go. As you can see, light shining through. And finally a way out. This next little section can actually be really confusing. There's really no obvious way to go. So yet again, I have one of those brain fart moments where my brain just doesn't work at all. The next room is a room with 2 gates. The one on the left just isn't going to open at all. The one on the right, as you can possibly tell, has a little bit of a gap on the left hand side. Not big enough that it was obvious to me at the time, unfortunately, so I'd do a bit of arsing around. At this point I'm even doubting if I've gone the right way. But considering there was only one way out of that dungeon. And I'm even trying to move the damn candle holders. Desperation setting in. Until, yeah, can't tell you how hard I kicked myself at that fucking point. One of those things that once you've seen it, it's as obvious as hell, but until you've seen it, it may as well be on the other side of the friggin' world. Anyway, once you're through, pull the lever, which will open up that doorway. The one we saw earlier with the energy stone behind it, as you can see. And I'm going to make a little quick detour and get Jen parked up somewhere where she's not going to go trying to follow me. So if we just make our way around this room. This is the next major room we're going to be going in, which has probably one of the biggest puzzles in game. We'll just get her to the start position on top of this cage, and then we'll switch over to Scree. Right, I doubt she's going to climb down from that, so we'll leave her be. And once you're back in control of Scree, move the camera so the wall isn't blocking the view. And what you want to do is go through the door at the end with the energy stone. Pick it up if you need it, of course. And that pretty much leads us into the flooded room with the switch, which we were just in. So just make your way up the stairs and out of the water. And once we're up at the top, we're going to have to tackle probably the biggest puzzle in the game. It's a big puzzle in terms of the amount of complexity on it, and the fact that it's not a case of move this lever once or shift this piece of rock. It actually takes some thinking. And what I'm going to do, because I did a little bit of experimenting while doing this puzzle, a couple of the later switches I didn't get right first time. So what I'm going to do is put the instructions on the bottom of the video. If you follow those, you'll pretty much get it right first time. I'm going to leave the video untouched as it is, just so you can see my thought processes. But either way, time to make a start. So just climb up the wall on the left of the fallen cage, through the little gap at the top, and as we make our way around to the left, you'll begin to notice in the far distance, once we get off the wall, there are a row of, what is it, 8 or 9 switches. One of them is broken, nothing we can do with that, but the rest of them are all movable. They're all controlled with the left stick on the controller. So first things first, grab hold of the first one. And once you've grabbed it, pretty much want to go up, left, left again, which should pull the cage level with Jen and allow her to climb up once we switch. And once she's actually on top, switch back to Scree. And move the controller right, right, and down, which completes the process for switch 1. And on to switch 2. So once you've grabbed it, move it down twice. Which brings it in line with Jen. So switch over, have her climb up on top of it. And once you're safely perched on top, switch back to Scree, and then move it down a further 2 times. And that's enough for switch 2. Switch 3, we want to move right twice and then up. Try and let you see it actually happening. Which again lines up the cage. Ugh, wrong button. Switch over to Jen, drop down onto this new cage, and go back to Scree. And then it's just a case of moving the controller left once to finish up on the 3rd switch. And then finally time to move on to the 4th one. And yeah, that's us pretty much halfway through. So pull this back or down twice. And then right once. Now I didn't do the final move, so it's a little bit out in terms of the video. Which is why I keep saying stick with the text at the bottom. So going back to Scree, have a play about finally, and then work out that it is right. I have to try in just about every other direction, to be fair. So we've already pulled it down twice, getting it into the right position. That final move to the right is what we need. And Jen can finally jump across, which finishes us up for switch 4. Now switch 5. Again, correct text at the bottom, follow it. The video's more my kind of messing around. But to start off with, you want to go left and then down twice, which should line the cages up nicely. And once you've switched, well, eventually switched. At this point I'm kind of thinking that there's no way she could make that jump instead of just trying it. So I'm trying to move the cage that she's currently on up a little bit. And of course there's no need. Quite happily climbs up it without me interfering. So we'll go back onto the 5th switch. Right, finally back on track. So now what we want to do is up, then right. Which should give Jen the right balance to be able to jump across. So to sum up switch 5, it's left, down, down, move Jen. Then up, right, and move Jen again. Switch 6 isn't there, so we'll move on to switch 7. For switch 7 we want to go right, down, down. Which should line up the cages nicely so we can move Jen across. And then just move the switch up once. Which again should line them up and we can move Jen forward. And once we've done that, we're onto the last switch. Nice easy one this time, thankfully. Just move it up once. And that puts us in the right position for Jen to get off these bloody contraptions. There we go, safe and sound. I should be able to sidle away around here. If I can manage to get the right spot, there we go. And once she's finished sidestepping, you can just climb down, ready for the next section. And Scree's pretty easy as per usual. I don't think we can make it across from there. Nah, it would be too much to ask if there was something in the barrel. You'll have to go back down the way you came up, basically. Make your way across to the other side of the room and climb up the other wall. I'm trying to work out at this point if it's easier just to climb straight around, but obviously you can't, it doesn't have the climbable wall. There are actually 2 pieces of climbable wall on this side. Make sure you go up the right hand side one as you're facing them. And there will be a lodestone and an energy stone up here. So feel free to pocket both. And after the tongue-twisting nonsense that was that puzzle, I think it's probably a good point to cut off the video. So we'll just pick up this last energy stone and make our way across to Jen and leave it there. I've been Keric the Pally. This has been Primal. You have a good evening now.